Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we are looking at Lycanroc GX, or to be more specific, the Midnight form, because we've already had a Midday Form GX. Link to that video in the description. There were 2 GXs revealed today, ladies and gentlemen, and I love you guys so much. You're having a video about each. It is a double upload day, and that is worth celebrating. Although do make sure you watch the Tapu Bulu video as well. Now, he is a fighting type like the other Lycanroc, which means he is going to be hitting for good weakness, things like Tauros and Snorlax and Gumshoes and Umbreon. All those GXs will be hit for weakness by Lycanroc. And don't forget, being a fighting Pokemon means that he can use strong energy, so that all of his attacks will do an extra 20 damage to the active. Now, 200 HP is about standard for a Stage 1 GX. It's the same as the other Lycanroc. We expect 200 or 210. Now, weakness to grass is not very good. We've got Lurantis GX, we've got Decidueye, if anyone's actually attacking with that, we've got Vespiquen, and the Pokemon on whom I did a video earlier today, Tapu Bulu. So, grass is one of the worst weaknesses you can have at the moment, or at least it will be when people are playing with this Pokemon Sun and Moon cards. Now, the ability here is what really shines about Lycanroc. Do you get that? Did you get the pun? It's Bright Look. Shines Bright Look here all week. This is Bright Look, Luxray GX's old ability, or Poké Power as it was back then, which saw a huge amount of play. Now, to be fair, this was in a format without Lysander, so it's not quite as good now, but we all know how good Lysander is. We all know how good Pokemon Catcher is when you can hit a heads. This is a really, really nice ability. You evolve into Lycanroc, and you get to just pull one of your opponent's Pokemon into the active. Now, if nothing else, you could play the other Lycanroc in his energy denial shenanigans. Check my link in the description for the video about him, like I've said, and just use him, this new Lycanroc, as a tech, just as an extra Lysander once or twice during the game. And to help out, don't forget we've got Devolution Spray. So what you can do here is use this Lycanroc's ability to drag your opponent's Pokemon into the active, and then evolve into the other Lycanroc after using a Devolution Spray. Or even just evolve, bring into the active, Devolution Spray, and then next turn you can just do it again and again. It basically turns Devolution Spray into Lysander. That's a pretty good trade. Now, in terms of the attack, Claw Swipe, 110 damage for a fighting double colourless. I like that you can use double colourless, but 110, free energy, it's fairly standard. What I do like about this is that it will hit 220 when hitting for weakness. Tauros GX has 180 HP. It will often have a Fighting Fury belt, bringing it up to 220, which means that if you did 100 and doubled it to 200, you wouldn't get the one-hit KO. You have to one-hit KO Tauros because of his first attack and his GX attack. If you hit him and don't KO him, he hits you back harder. So being able to one-hit KO Tauros GX for 2 energy attachments is very, very nice here. And I'm also a huge fan of the GX attack. You do 50 damage for every one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which means if they've got 4 benched Pokemon, you do 200 damage, and of course you can use Choice Band to do an extra 30, as long as you're hitting a GX or an EX. You can use Professor Kukui to do an extra 20. You can use Strong Energy to do an extra 20 per strong energy. This is very good. Now, you could here, and I think it's a bit clunky, but you could use Captivating Pokepuff here to force your opponent to bench Pokemon to do more with this GX. But worst case scenario, your opponent is going to deliberately not bench Pokemon they want to bench, just in case you use your 1 GX attack per game. Do remember that this is a GX attack, and it's 1 GX attack of any type per game. And that's pretty good. If your opponent is deliberately slowing their setup, fearing a single GX attack, that's pretty nice. Now, we've seen a whole bunch of GX attacks that do one-hit KOs. We've got Incineroar, but even with the burn, that only does 220. That's not always enough. We've seen Lurantis, but you've got to pile grass energy on. We've seen Gumshoes, but that depends on how much energy your opponent's got attached, and often that will be 1 or 2. So let's imagine you want to do 250 damage with your GX attack. Well, with Lycanroc, it's if they've got a full bench. And an awful lot of players will have a full bench, so that's not a huge problem. This seems like it will be doable, not every game, but quite a lot. How are you going to do it with Incineroar? You're doing 220, even with a Kukui that's only 240. If you want to do it with Lurantis GX, you've got to get 5 grass energy onto your Lurantis. That's quite a lot to ask. If you want to do it with Gumshoes GX, your opponent has got to have 5 energy attached to their active so that you can KO with Gumshoes. Now, quite frankly, it's not that rare that a player will have 5 bench Pokemon. That happens quite a bit. But it is pretty rare that your opponent will have 5 energy attached to their active. I suppose Gumshoes would do 260, not 250. But still, that's a lot to ask. Yes, I know sometimes your opponent won't have 5 bench Pokemon. I do get that. That does make sense. But you know what? I think a lot of the time they will. And that means that this attack is good. And you don't even need to be having 5 bench Pokemon a lot. If they've got 4 bench Pokemon, you'll do 200. And you know what? Most of the time, that's enough. So we've got good typing, bad weakness, 1 okay attack, but a brilliant ability and a brilliant GX attack. I feel comfortable giving Lycanroc 4 Wassies. If only because it's a really good ability to use as a tech in a deck using the other Lycanroc. But honestly, I think there is a lot of potential here with this one. I really, really like him. Now, you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There is a comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Like, subscribe, you know the deal. But today, a special request. Make sure you've watched the Tapu Bulu video. 2 GXs were revealed today, and I know you guys really like the GX videos. They're amongst my most watched and most popular. So I am making an effort to make sure I get both these videos up in one day. Please show me that you appreciate it with the views and the likes. And, you know, tell your friends. Follow me on Twitter @TheWassie, and as always, the most important thing by far, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.